Okay, so what we're going to look at now is how we can use EPO to be able to report on the activities that are happening in the Mcafee web gateway. So what we want to be able to do is, so the Mcafee web gateway is doing all the filtering, etc. But we're going to want to report on activities for users and bandwidths and the most common websites and how many are blocked by viruses and all that kind of good stuff. And we can do that in EPO. But to do that, we need to install the product called Mcafee Content Security Reporter. And what this does is it's a service that sits on the server and it accepts the logs from the Mcafee Web Gateway. So what happens is, while the Mcafee Web Gateway is doing its normal stuff, it's obviously writing to its own logs things that are being blocked and user activity, etc. And at a given time, it will do what's called a rotation. And the rotation can be based on either when a log gets to a certain size or a specific point in the day, like midnight, and it will roll those logs over, effectively creating a new file. And when it does that, it can then push those logs up to an FTP or an HTTP site, and then you can use Mcafee products or third-party products to effectively parse those files, read those files, take all that good content and turn it into kind of reporting. Now, this video is not going to be on EPO because EPO itself is a huge product, and we could do a whole series on how best to configure EPO. I'm going to just show you how to make the connection between EPO and Mcafee Web Gateway, how to get a basic connection going, and how you can just quickly go into the out-of-the-box reports and drill down and see what's going on. And then at least it gives you a starting point to go away and customize your own reports or look at resources around EPO. So the first thing I said you're going to need to do is you're going to need to install the Mcafee Content Security Reporter. So you log on to your Mcafee portal, because it will come licensed with your web gateway, and you want to click on here, and you're going to need to download two things. You're going to first of all want to download the Content Security Reporter, and this one's got the fix for the Poodle vulnerability, which was around a little while ago. In addition to this is going to be the content reporter, and this is actually an external application that will sit and listen on a particular port number for the Mcafee gateway to push the logs to. And then what we also need to download from other is the extensions for EPO. And what that will allow us to do, when we put those extensions in, it will give us the ability to configure EPO to read what the security content reporter has taken from the gateway. It's also going to have some reports out the box and all that good stuff that you get from standard extensions in EPO. So we're going to start off by configuring the EPO side of things first, and then we're going to switch over to the gateway, configure there, and I'm just going to show you a quick example of the kind of reports we can get. So once we've downloaded the files from the Mcafee website, we need to come onto our EPO server, and the first thing we're going to do is install the Security Content Reporter. This is a fairly lightweight application. I'm going to just install this in a standard location. Now you're going to have to create a passphrase, and this passphrase is what you're going to also need to put into the Mcafee Web Gateway, and it's just a kind of secure communication to allow those logs to be pushed up, so that Mcafee Security Reporter isn't just accepting any old rubbish that's sent to it. So we're just going to put in a quick password here. It'd help if they matched. And we're just going to let this install. Okay, so that has finished its installation. Now we've installed the Secure Content Reporter, the next job is to connect it to EPO. So we need to log into EPO. And the first thing to do is to install the extensions. So we go to Software and Extensions. We click Install and navigate to where we downloaded the extensions earlier. Click OK. And so this is going to bring in the extensions for connecting to the Content Secure Reporter. and it's going to update some core modules within EPO. Select OK. So the next thing is to go and register a server. So we go to configuration and register server, and we select new server, and we select the type of server, and this is going to be a report server. And we select the IP address, which is in this case the same IP address as the computer with EPO on, which is 120, as we installed it on the same server. And the passcode we used when setting up the server. Just remove the proxy settings for the moment. And we can see we now have tested successfully. Now we select save. And now we've registered the web gateway reporting server. Next we come to configurations and select the reporting server settings. Under the log sources we can create a new source. And for our web gateway we are going to select leave the default, which is Web Washer. Okay, and here what we're going to do is we are going to enter the username and password that we're going to put into the web gateway to send the information or when logging on to the content filter to upload the data. There's lots of good other stuff that we can look at in terms of how it processes the logs. Let's just save this for the moment. Invalid source name, what have I done wrong? Cannot contain spaces. So now we've got a job, we've got a queue, and we will see when we submit jobs or submit the logs from the web gateway, we will see them appear here. We've got some stuff to do with database maintenance, so we can set it to delete records after 12 months. And also it deals with two types of records, so we have summary information and detailed information. We can rebuild the indexes every Sunday, which obviously then makes searching the EPO database to find specific information faster. And there's some information about caching reports that can be used. Again, this video is more about how we link the two together. To get more information on all the kind of functionality in here, you can go in and look at the documentation. So the next thing is to log on to the web gateway and configure the pushing of the logs. So now we've logged onto the Mcafee gateway. We go under policy and we look under settings. And under our engines, we look for file system logging. And we look at access log configuration, and we can come down here to auto pushing, and we select auto pushing, and we're going to set the URL that was in our EPO. If we bring up our EPO, we go back to our source job actions and edit this. You can see it gives you the URL, both HTTP and HTTPS, to use in the web gateway to connect back to EPO. So that's what we're going to use. Obviously, you change the web reporter address. And sorry, when I say this is the EPO address, this is actually the address of the content secure reporter, which may or may not have been installed on the same server as EPO. Obviously, in this instance, it is on the same server as EPO. We put in the admin username and password that we set in EPO, and we set this box here to push log files directly after rotation. When do the logs get rotated? Well, you can set that up here under auto rotation, and what we've got it set here to do is to rotate every 100 meg. So every 100 meg the logs grow, they'll automatically be pushed to EPO. They will also get pushed at midnight every night. So let's save the settings. And what we can do is we can push the logs, so we don't have to wait for them to get to 100 meg, by simply going to configuration, selecting the appliance name and selecting rotate and push logs and select OK. If we come back to our EPO and come down to our job queue, we will see that those logs have now been pushed. We've got a successful push, the size and the time. So if we go back to our dashboard and drop down, we can look at these Content Secure Reporter web activity. And we can see information from the user and the websites that have been visited. We can go to Security Overview. And give us reports by reputation. And of course we can then go into the reporting system and look at our queries and reports. And if we go into shared, we'll see all these kind of reports here to do with Content Security Reporter. So we can see like internet that's been used, the bandwidth that's been used, and then the top websites by consumption, top websites by application. So we just run this one. We look at top websites by category. So search engine, social media. And so all that information is going to consistently get pushed over to EPO. So you want to look a little bit more into like the best settings under the reporting settings about the database maintenance, and just have a quick read through. It's not a huge amount of configuration to do here, but you can tweak it for what your requirements need. So this is how we get the log information from Web Gateway into EPO. I'm James Sillett, and I'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch this video. If you have any comments or questions, you can contact me by any of the means shown below.